Hello Internet, welcome to another calculator usage learning tutorial. In this comprehensive tutorial, I'll be showing the vector calculations using Casio 991ES. Now, vector calculations are one of the most tedious calculations in mathematics. However, in Casio 991ES calculator, we can do it with a lot of ease. Uh, the vector calculations are not as easy as calculating other things in Casio because there are a lot many options that may sound a little confusing to a lot of people. So I'll go very slow in this tutorial. I've written down the agenda on the paper. Now we have two kinds of vectors. We have a 2D vector and a 3D vector, and what we need to do at times is to either find the absolute value of the vectors, which is calculated like this, or we may want to find the dot product of the vector, which will eventually turn out to be a scalar quantity, or we may want to find the cross product of a vector, which may or which rather will turn out to be a vector quantity. So in this tutorial I'll be covering everything, and finally I'll be covering how to calculate angle between the vectors and magnitude of the vector which is perpendicular to two given vectors. So that is going to be the agenda. Now let's start with the actual operating instructions on the calculator. Now in order to do vector calculations, you need to go to mode and then select option 8. Now in this particular mode, the calculator has an option of giving you 3 vectors. So you can select any of the 3 vectors, and in those 3 vectors too, you have an option to either select a 2D vector or a 3D vector. I'll illustrate you by pressing 1 here. Now I have selected vector A. Now it is asking me whether I want to select this vector as a 3-dimensional vector or a 2-dimensional vector. So I'll say it's a 2-dimensional vector. Now it is asking me to enter the coefficients of the vector in the x direction and y direction. So I'll put in the coefficient as 3 and 5. Alright, now vector A has been set in the calculator. Now in order to perform operations on this vector, you need to go out of this space by pressing the AC key, and then you can press the shift key and go to vector, which is number 5 option. Now here you get all the options where you can see the value of a vector. For example, if I press 3 now, it will show me the values which are currently present in the vector A. So I inputted 3 and 5 in that, so it is showing me that. Now first things first, I'll find out the absolute value of the vector A. For that I'll need to clear the screen and press shift and then press hyperbolic, because the alternate function of hyperbolic is absolute. Once absolute is there, then go back to shift, press 5 for vector options. Now I want to find the absolute value of vector A, so I'll press 3. So now on the screen you see absolute value of vector A, and then if I press equal, it will show me the absolute value of vector A to be equivalent to 5.830. and the calculator has used this formula to calculate this value. Now let's try it for a 3D vector. Okay, so I'll go to vector, I'll press 1, I'll select another vector B this time, and I want the vector to be a 3-dimensional vector. For that I press 1. Now I'll enter the 3 coefficients now, 2, 6 and -7. Okay, now the coefficients of vector B, they have been entered into the calculator. I can clear it now. I can go back to shift and I can press absolute, go back to shift, then vector, select the option 4 for vector B, close the bracket, and you get the value as 9.433. So how cool is that? That is how you can easily find the absolute value of vectors. Another important function that you can perform on vectors is dot product, and then we'll finally see how to find the cross product. Now I already have vector A and B defined, so what I can do is let me just make vector A, or rather let me just enter a new value into vector C. So I'll select the option 5. Alright, I'll make a new vector C, which is 2x cap minus 3y cap minus 4z cap, and I'll enter these values in the calculator as 2 minus 3 minus 4. Alright, once the values are entered into the calculator, we can go back to vector options, and now we can select vector B by pressing 4. We can go back to vector options, and by pressing 7 you can bring in the dot operator. So I'll press 7 and then go back to vector operations. I'll press 5 for vector C. Now on the screen you can see it is telling me to find out the dot product of vector B and C. When I press equal, it gives me 14, which is a scalar quantity, so the dot product of vector B and C is 14. And cross product is even simpler, because you can simply find the cross product by pressing the multiplication sign button on the calculator. Let me just show you. You can go to shift vector, select vector B, then simply press the multiply sign, go back to vector, select vector C, and now you find the cross product, which is a vector quantity, of course. So this is minus 45, minus 6 and minus 18. So that is how you can find the cross product. And now if you want to find the absolute value of the answer, you can simply go to shift absolute answer, bracket close, and then you get the absolute value of the answer, which is 14. So if you look at the other problem statements, if you want to find the angle between the vectors, you can easily find the dot products and then divide the dot products with the absolute value of the vectors respectively. And if you want to find the magnitude of the vector which is perpendicular to two vectors, then you can find the cross product of two vectors and then divide it with the absolute value of the cross product, which I already have illustrated in this tutorial. So I hope with this tutorial you will be able to perform all the vector calculations with ease and with a lot faster speed. And if this tutorial was helpful, just pass on the good word. and I'll see you in some other tutorial. You have a good day. Bye.